And good evening. Thanks for joining us today. Joining me now are my colleagues at the secondary level who will talk with us tonight about the hybrid model and provide a little more specificity from what was discussed at the board meeting last week. The questions that we can answer, we'll ask you to put those into the chat room, and questions that we can answer, we certainly will. We want to answer every question that we can. Sometimes we just can't answer a question. There are a lot of details and logistics to still be worked out. And sometimes we can't answer the question because we're still trying to identify what the guidance is and how it clearly is to be interpreted in our situation. But anything that we can answer, we will answer for you tonight. The virus itself is fluid, we know, and that's what causes sometimes our plans to change even midstream. So what we're sharing with you this evening is a reflection of the way things are at 5:02 on July 29th. And hopefully they'll still be the same at 8 when we get to 6:30 on July 29th. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Donaghy now, who will introduce the team and get us started with our discussion.
Thank you, Dr. Rushi. 5:02, yep, hopefully till 6:30 nothing changes, but the good thing is we've been monitoring the state, the federal guidelines, the local guidelines all summer. So I just want to introduce the team who's with us today. We have Ms. Christensen is our Director of Learning and Assessment for the district. She'll help moderate this evening's presentation. Also, we have our assistant principals, Ms. Edmonston, Mr. Baradoni, and Dr. Quinn are with us tonight, and they're going to give you a little overview of what we've been doing this summer and quite frankly, since March. Also with us, Mr. Parker, our Director or Coordinator of Pupil Services, and Ms. Gondak, our Secondary Special Programs Coordinator. They work in the Pupil Services office. They'll also be doing a presentation tonight at 7 o'clock, question and answer. So if you want to, I would recommend hanging on coming back at 7 and joining in their presentation. Tonight, we're just going to go over some of our planning and where we are to date. I'm going to talk a little bit about the schedules after the assistant principals give you a little preview of the year. I'm going to talk about our hybrid schedule, which is our Monday through Thursday hybrid schedule. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our Friday schedule. I'm going to show you a sample schedule. I'm also going to send it out in my weekly email on Friday. So if you miss anything, I'll send the schedule out to you again on Friday so that you have it, and then you can take a look at it. And of course, at any time about the schedule or about anything, email us, call us. We are here. We've been working not around the clock, but it feels that way. We've been working a lot of hours this summer to make sure the students are in the best possible position starting in September. And then I want to thank you for coming out tonight and joining us. It's a big commitment. I know at 5 o'clock in the summer to come out and join us, but we do appreciate coming out and asking us questions. We've received a lot of questions in the last couple of weeks, and it helps us to form our models that we're presenting to you. And it helps us to look at things that maybe we don't always look at in as much detail as we should. So any feedback that you can give us is much appreciated, not only this evening, but between now and the beginning of school. All of our schedules before the assistant principals go, I'll talk a little bit about grading, about attendance. Our model will be a little bit different than when we started in March. So you'll see that tonight, and I'll go over all that. And I know people have questions on that, but I just wanted to let you know. So we're going to start off with a couple positives of our new environment, and Dr. Quinn and Ms. Edmonston are going to talk to you a little bit about them. So guys, you can take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Donaghy. I appreciate that. So even with the new model, there are many positives that we're going to be talking about. Mr. Donaghy Mr. Dunnigy is later going to allude to how we're splitting the blocks up into smaller classes. And smaller classes, as many of you know, lead to better one-on-one time, a more cohesive class culture. And that's important these days to get the kids more involved with each other, more involved with the school. And we're looking for those connections, and smaller classes will help us build those connections. The daily connections and the support of the teachers, they're going to have support 5 days a week from their teachers, both in class and online, which is going to add to those connections, strengthen those connections. And as parents, we all know daily structure is really important for students. This will give them the structure that they need, that they want to get through the week successfully. We will be following them throughout the week, providing a support structure behind the actual class structure. And the technological advances of staff and students. We have ongoing technological professional development for teachers and staff to learn both Canvas and other aspects of the schedule. We're also going to start, Ms. Edmiston will talk about our orientation for new students and for ninth graders, to talk about Canvas and what they're going to need. And that will be an ongoing training for the students as well. It's a learning process for a lot of people, but we are on top of it, and we will be following that throughout the year to make sure everything goes smoothly. I'm going to pass it off to Ms. Edmiston.
Thank you, Dr. Quinn. Good evening, everyone. So our students, our upperclassmen, are very familiar with their Chromebooks, and at this point, so are the incoming ninth graders after our spring of last year. So we're set. We know the kids at least have a general idea of how the Chromebooks are. We'll orient them to it. We'll make sure that they're well aware of how to use it. The teachers will be, very patient with them, making sure that they know how to operate it. Power School, they're all familiar with that. They've been using that since the middle school. Grading, same thing. It'll be on Power School. So it's easy for everyone to navigate, including parents, because you'll be used to that as well. Google Drive, the middle school uses their Google Drive as well. I know they did English. They wrote some things in English on Google Drive. We do need to get all of our students, we have to orient them to checking their email, their Google accounts, because at times students are not the best at that, but we will work on that with orientation as well. Canvas is going to be a learning tool for everybody. Everybody's going to have a bit of a learning curve as well. I think it'll be great once you get in there. It is not difficult to navigate. The students, once the teachers show them how to use it, I think they'll feel comfortable doing it. I did it last spring with some of the teachers, and once you start going in, you can realize that it's not too difficult to figure out what you have to do. So we'll make sure all students have an orientation to Canvas. The upperclassmen in science have been using Canvas for a while, so a lot of our upperclassmen are very familiar with it. Our block schedule works perfect, unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it, with what's going on right now. The students every day will have, every class, whether it's the hour class or their afternoon schedule that Mr. Donahue is going to speak of. So the block schedule is excellent. Our students won't miss a beat when it comes to learning. Our counselors are still available. The availability of counselors, we were talking about that today. The fact that, they can do virtual time with the students. They can, have them come down to the office when it's the student's day to be there, because we still want all those relationships to be built. The small classes allow that to happen. The virtual learning allows that to happen, where, teachers can set up meetings with their kids, and kids can set up meetings with their teachers, and smaller groups in school, they get to know each other and understand each other. So, we're looking forward to having that normalcy back in with everybody and building those relationships, and accessing work from home they'll be able to do, and they'll be able to access people, supports that they need also while they're at home, so that, they can ask questions, they can set up meetings, things like that. We will have an orientation for the freshmen. We're working on that, and as well as for the new students. Freshman year, we always need an orientation coming into a new building. So we're getting ready for that. And hopefully the freshmen will come in and get to see what the school looks like prior to us starting school. And now we're going to take it to Mr. Baradoni.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm going to kind of touch on a little bit about things that aren't new, things that we're going to continue doing that we've always done here at Haverford. One thing that we pride ourselves on in our building is building relationships. It's a staple of who we are as Haverford High School and as a district. And that's something, whether online, hybrid, does not matter. We are going to focus on that, building relationships and remaking and reconnecting to our students. Some things that we've already done is our athletes have been back for a couple of weeks. The administrators, the coaches have been out on the fields, welcoming them back, reestablishing those relationships, reestablishing those pieces that we really pride ourselves on. Tomorrow, the band will be starting as well, so we'll have them back in small groups, obviously all practicing the plans that have been laid out through the board and making sure that we follow those as well. But we are welcoming students back, reacclimating to the building, and reconnecting to them. Some traditions that we've always prided ourselves on, the saying Ford for Life, FFL, is something that we don't take lightly, and we realize that they make Haverford who we are, what it is. And that's something that no matter what, we're going to rework them, we're going to keep working on those and making sure we don't lose sight of who we are as Haverford High School and what it means to be a Ford. Within that, activities and clubs as well. As we start the year, we're going to ease back into the first couple weeks, and then we will start up with our activities and clubs. We will be using Zoom meetings to get those going and then hopefully reassess as we move forward. We're going to acclimate the freshmen as well on the clubs. We generally have some sort of an activities fair. We're going to work out those logistics so that they're aware of what we offer club-wise, and they can then become part of our community as well and know what we offer. And finally, we're always striving to be a very high achieving district, and we do always reach those goals. And those goals will not change whether online or hybrid. We increased the amount of AP test takers this past year. Our SAT scores were at the highest they've been. That's something we pride ourselves on. Our faculty is tremendous and they work with that. No matter what new model or what model we're in, they will continue those things and make sure that we keep connecting, reconnecting, and building those relationships. Mr. Donaghy, back to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. B and the assistant principals. Just to reiterate what Mr. Baradoni said, whether we are online or in person, we want to keep our traditions going, our extracurricular activities going. The PIAA dictates sports, but they've started and they've been going very, very well. It's great to see the students outside with their friends. It is definitely a different environment, but the kids have done a wonderful job of adapting to the new rules or the new normal. So we're very excited about that. So whether we're online or not, we're going to have clubs, we're going to have activities. You know, they're going to look a little bit different. We learned a lot from the end of last year. We did run some clubs online last year, and they were tremendous. Best Buddies and other clubs that even my children were a part of. It was great to see them interacting online. You know, we want to do as much as we can in person in a socially distanced manner, but if that can't happen, we want to make sure we're connecting the students each week. And for the freshman parents out there, club signups, we ease into club signups in September. So don't worry about the first day of school. If your student comes home and says, I don't know when clubs start, or no one said that today, or anything like that, we're going to ease into it. We're very fortunate to be able to come in the week before Labor Day this year. And then in September, we'll start ramping it up a little bit. We'll get the word out to you how to sign up. And that's why it's important too for the students to get familiar with their Gmail, their Google Mail, because we do a lot. They're getting at an age now where we send correspondence directly to them. And in my weekly emails, we started last year sending them right to students. And it's great to get the feedback from the students. And for those of you new to the high school, all the assistant principals and myself get about 10 to 15 emails from students a week. Just questions, concerns, something might be going on, something they're proud of that they want us to announce. So keep that in mind. The communication doesn't always have to come from you. It can come from your students also. So I'm going to go through the schedule, but I know we have some questions. Ms. Christensen, do you want me to answer a couple questions, or would you like me to go through the schedule first?
Mr. Donaghy, you read my mind. I was going to say, before we take a little in-depth look into what the schedule will look like, we do have a couple of questions, and I think we can address. Some questions came in about the scheduling process. Will there be a need for students to change the courses that they selected in May as we approach this new model? Do you foresee that being something that's going to need to happen?
No, that's a good question. Not at all. We don't have to. We have all our teachers coming back. We are fully staffed. So we don't have a need to change anything. We added electives last year. School board approved electives that we're excited about. Every now and then a freshman can't get all their courses that they picked. But by the time they're a junior or senior, they get in those courses, you know, if the courses get full, which is rare, except for maybe a baking class or, you know, a new elective that only has one section, something like that. But no, they don't have to change anything. Sometimes the study hall pops into your schedule that we, in August, the administrators and the counselors will help you to change. We'll email or call you, and we want everybody with 8 credits this year. And it's the same as always. That's a good question, but no, you don't have to worry about changing your schedule or doing anything with that.
Okay, great. And for a comment that you made about the technology, the 9th grade students coming in may not have the experience, the daily experience like our high school students do.
Sure.
So a parent was asking for a little more clarification. Will there be a time to get oriented to that? And I think you addressed that when you talked about the orientation.
Yes. So
but
we do a combination of in-class orientation, and then we'll have some breakout groups this year because we really want them to have Canvas down. We want them to know how to use their Gmail. We want them to, most of them know how to use Google Drive, but we'll give them a refresher on that, and the teachers will too, because Google Drive will be embedded in Canvas. We want them to know these learning platforms so that when beyond high school, whatever's thrown at them, they'll be able to handle. So we ease into that for the freshmen. We know that they may have difficulty with that at the beginning, but usually by October, they are up and running, and it's smooth sailing.
Okay, perfect. I think it's also a point of information to know that the same device is used at the high school as is available at the middle school. So our middle school students do have use of the Chromebooks and the platforms. A couple of the parents are asking about availability of guidance counselors. What would you suggest if they have a specific question for their student, or if there are seniors who have specific questions? Should they reach out to their guidance counselors now, or their assistant principal? Who would you suggest they?
Yeah, reach out. Ms. Edmonston and Mr. Baradoni are fielding all of the freshman questions. So reach out to them now, because the students don't have a counselor yet. And then the upperclassmen, reach out to Dr. Quinn or myself, and the counselors will be starting back in August. They're not here every single day. But if there's been a lot of questions, I know, about the schedule and different courses and things that are popping up already. So just email us, and we'll loop the counselor in if we need to. And then by mid-August, the counselors kind of take that all over.
And I guess that in a similar vein, some specific questions about the VOTEC programs. Would you suggest they reach out to their guidance counselors to hear more about VOTEC, or would you guys be prepared? Or
well, yeah, I can speak to that. I can speak to that. Miss Edmonston, do you want to speak to VOTEC and how it's working this year?
Sure. So VOTEC can keep social distance. They can do 6 feet in all of their classes. So VOTEC will run on a normal VOTEC schedule, which means we're an AM school. So our students will go to VOTEC in the morning like they would normally. They'll go to VOTEC in the morning and they will come back. And right now it looks like they'll come back and they will do their afternoon classes in the afternoon. And Mr. Donahue will explain the schedule when we're through. And so VOTEC is normal. Med Careers is normal. They're doing exactly what they would normally do for VOTEC and Med Careers. So all of that is up and running. And I've been in contact with the VOTEC, the principal at the VOTEC, and they're ready for us. So, which is a great thing. So our kids will not miss a beat at all with any of that.
That's great. Thank you for that update. Some of the other questions I think could be grouped in the category about scheduling and the logistics. So why don't we move on to the overview of the schedule,
Sure.
And then we can talk if there's more questions about specifics, AP courses, availability, a hybrid where there might be some need for an AP and the hybrid model. So why don't we move forward with our agenda, and we can talk about some of that in your overview.
Sure. And and just to finish up the VOTEC conversation, again, VOTEC's 5 days a week. We met with the principal the other day, and they're lucky they have big giant warehouses that they work out of. So it works very well. And then they would, in Med Careers, they actually added an extra hospital this year. So they have the space availability also. And in my Friday email, I'm going to put a short little blurb about the tech ed and the DCIU programs, just very short, and then we'll expand on it in the next few weeks. So just to go over the schedule, we're looking at a hybrid schedule. So what that means is Monday through Thursday, every other day, we're going to split the we're going to split the students alphabetically. So Monday and Wednesday, we'll have a group, and then Tuesday and Thursday, we'll have a group at school. Okay. So I'll go over it again. And again, I'm going to put this in my Friday email, the actual slides that you're looking at, so you can see them. So Monday and Wednesday, it'll be a group alphabetically, and Tuesday and Thursday, it'll be a group alphabetically. If you have 2 people in the same household with, a different last name, we can accommodate that. We cannot accommodate, your friends. And that's a tough part of high school. And that does eat at me that we can't all be together. But you'll see through the schedule that there are times when we will be together. So, but if anybody is in that situation and we miss you, just let us know. So each day, and we tried to keep it as similar to what the students are used to as possible. All right. You'll see the differences, obviously, and then we wanted to make sure the students were safe. So we had to split them in half. There was no other way to do it. But when there's one grade missing on a field trip, or when the seniors are done at the end of the year, exam days, when these different days when we have less students in the school, it feels like the school's empty. And I know it's hard to imagine, but just taking half the students out makes such a difference. And our custodians have done such a wonderful job of getting the rooms together and spreading all the desks out 6 feet. They stored half the desks in the school all over the place, and it's really been awesome. So we're looking at 7:30 start. And we know that at the beginning of the year, we don't have an attendance monitor saying you're late to school or anything like that. But we do ask that you try to get here by 7:30. We know there'll be traffic. We know all the things that might occur. So you might be a couple minutes late, and the teachers are going to be aware of that. And we have a natural staggered arrival here in the morning because we have students who take buses who usually arrive by 7:10 each day. Our technical education students take the bus, and then they go straight to another bus to tech. We have walkers the majority of the walkers arrive between 7:10 and 7:30. And they obviously are staggered as they arrive. So the kids, and we'll go over this with the students and all, the kids have to come and go directly to class. All right. So that's a little change for them. Usually they come and they could hang out a little bit. We can't do that right now. They got to come and they have to get right to class. And we'll have staff nicely getting them to class as they arrive each day. All right. We have plenty of personnel to help with that flow, and we have plenty of doors where we can control the doors, have adults there monitoring the doors, but also getting the students to class right away. So they have a natural staggered arrival. Then they have block for 65 minutes. Okay. So normally our block's 84 minutes. Okay. So they have 64-minute block, which we feel they are going to have excellent lessons. We feel that in 65 minutes, the 20-minute difference we can make up, and we'll show you how we're going to make some of that up. But with the 65-minute block, it's still all the components of a block, and they can still dive deep into their topics, and they're going to have half the class size. So their class sizes are going to be incredible. How awesome it's going to be for them to get the individualized attention with only half their class there. So we're excited about that. So from there, we used to have 5 minutes in between class. And one thing we've always talked about is they don't need 5 minutes to get from one class to the other. Okay. We've discussed that since the moment I arrived, but there wasn't a great need to change it. But now we have a need. We need them to get to class and not hang out in the hall. You can get from the music room all the way to the 3rd floor in less than 5 minutes. Okay. With the entire school here, with half the school here, we think they can very easily get from one class to the next in 3 minutes. And again, it's different than when we went to high school. If you were late, you got in trouble, you got demerits, you had to write an essay on how you need to be properly on time. It's a different world now. You know, the teachers understand, and we know in the 3 minutes, it's going to help again the stagger. It's because in 5 minutes, the kids would congregate and then all be coming into class at the same time. So in 3 minutes, we feel is enough time. And again, they go to block 2, 65-minute class, get their full class in. From there, they go to block 3 and then block 4. Okay, so at the end of the day, on block 4, we're going to have a staggered dismissal. So you have walkers, bus, you know, we'll call them over the PA system. You know, anyone riding a bus, you know, this time we will have grab and go lunch and then head to your bus. And then we'll have our walkers. We do have students who drive to school also. So we have 3 different groups. And we know that you know, depending on if we're heavier on freshmen or sophomores, we know those students tend not to drive as much as the juniors and seniors. So we're just going to be aware of that during dismissal. And then we will have our chorus and band sectionals like we do at the end of the school day, you know, a couple times a week. We're working that all out with the middle school. The middle school, our choral and band and orchestra teachers, that we share each other with the middle school. And they have a lot of great ideas too of how to do things online also. So we're not worried if they don't have as much sectional time as they had in the past. And if you saw any of the band or chorus things that the students did last year online at the end of the year, it was absolutely incredible. So blending both worlds is going to be really cool this year. We will have a grab and go lunch at 12 o'clock. There will be some students who might want to stay and hang out till sports or activities, and that's okay. But we will have to know who they are And we also have to put them in a location where they're not wandering around the school, where they're not going in and out. We need to control the environment. So that's a little bit different than what we're used to. But we do, again, we have the personnel to do it. And we're not expecting a ton of students to stay after school during that time. But if students need to stay after for extra assistance or something like that, it's no problem at all. And then we transition to the afternoon. Now, this might be a tad bit confusing, but the afternoon, if you see the block 1, 2, 3, and 4 again, this is for the students that are at home. Okay, so the students at home, our expectation is that they'll get up at a decent hour and complete their work before they meet with their teachers in the afternoon. So the students are at home. We'll still have blocks 1, 2, 3, and 4. Obviously, the time is much shorter than a class period, but it will. What we found last year was we were missing some of the teacher connection, and the teachers wanted more connection, and the kids wanted more connection. So it's funny because sometimes when the students are in school, they don't want to be in school, but as soon as we had the COVID, they wanted to see their teachers. So we think that this model where we shorten their blocks in the afternoon, it's a check-in, but slightly more than a check-in, okay? And we're going to take attendance, and they have to be there. If there's some type of hardship or something else, contact us individually, and we'll work through those situations. Sometimes we have students who take classes at Delaware County Community College or other colleges that might be in the afternoon. We'll work that out with you, something that arises such as that. So they'll go through their blocks 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the afternoon. The students are at home. So continuing the daily, their daily interaction with their teachers. So it's a great, I think it's a great scenario. And then there's a little fifth block in there if someone needs additional time. It's not in place of, you can't say, I'm not coming to my block. Can I meet you at 2:10? But it's if you need additional assistance, we wanted to, make sure that the day there's opportunities throughout the day. And I know our teachers, and I know they'll work with you outside the schedule too, but we needed a jumping off point. And then either at 2:45 or 3 o'clock, we're working on how much time we need for the students to come back for athletics, activities, band, if band's right after school, sometimes band's at night. We need a little bit of time. We don't want the kids rushing. We want them to have enough time. So it might be 2:45, 3:15. But again, it's starting a little bit earlier than normal. So they get home a little bit earlier than normal, which hopefully is good for everyone, involved. And then the schedule, the nice part about the schedule is the students who are here in the morning can go home and get their work done before practice. And then the students who aren't here, hopefully in the mornings, I know it's retraining the students, but training them to get their work done in the morning and time management. And what I like and what the assistant principals like about the schedule is, we like and we don't like. Some people said, oh, this is like a college schedule. And it is a little bit, but it's the time management piece is something that we're going to work on that we haven't had to work on in the past. But I think it'll help the students in the long run. And then, Sarah, do we have any questions about the daily schedule before I go to Friday's schedule? Because I don't want to overwhelm anybody.
Well, yeah, how about, that's a perfect time. Let's take a break for a second. There's some specific questions that are coming up specifically to the school, and I'm trying to categorize them. So first of all, the hybrid definition of hybrid, I think some people have some questions about when you're referencing that half the number of students will be in the school. How do you know that? How do we know that? So could you talk a little bit about how those students will be split and maybe some other variables, including can we assure that we're aligned with the other schools across the district? There's some questions about that as well.
Yeah, right now we're working with the middle school to alphabetically split the school to see if we can align with the middle school. I don't want to give away the letter today, but we have a letter we're at where we are about 40 students higher in one area than another, but 40 students over 100 classrooms is insignificant. So we're really thinking we're going to break the school in half. The only variable right now is the technical education students. So that's about 100 students. Some of them might have to come every day, and they arrive late. So that'd be the only group that would be adding some to the number. But we're pretty confident that we're splitting the school in half. What we are doing now is working on the classrooms and making sure that the classrooms are split in half. So, sometimes you might have A through whatever might be a little higher than the end of the alphabet. So we want to make sure that the classes aren't, 20 one day or 10 one day and 11 we want to try to get 10 and 11, 12 and 13. Our rooms fit 15 comfortably. Some rooms fit 20 comfortably. Our rooms, believe it or not, are all different sizes, and the custodians have done a wonderful job. So we know what room we can break into what. So that's what we're spending a lot of time on right now.
Good. So it sounds like when you say comfortably, you're talking about with the 6 feet social distancing
in between students and the at least 6 feet in between the students and the teacher.
And the teacher. Perfect. So that leads us into safety. So I think some of the questions that are popping up during your hybrid day schedule, I kind of grouped into safety considerations. So some quick ones, what will moving through the classrooms look like, and lockers? So now that we've established it'll be half the students on the opposite days, will students be using their locker, and how will they be moving through the building?
Yeah, they won't be using their locker. The beauty of 4 blocks is that they only have stuff for 4 classes. We do a lot with our Chromebooks. We don't do everything with our Chromebooks. We do have a couple classes that have a textbook that is, I think, 1,200 pages. And I always joke with the kids when they're carrying that textbook down the hallway. But most of our textbooks are normal size textbooks. Our math is going all online this year, our program. So they won't have a textbook. Some classes will. Some of the upper level classes will have a textbook, but and then a lot of times the teachers let the students keep their textbook at home, and we have a lot of stuff on Canvas, and that they don't need to carry a bunch of stuff in their book bag. And we've been doing book bags for a long time, and it always seems to work. The classes are very easy to get in and out of, very easy to move around in. The desks are 6 feet apart right now in the classrooms. Our science classes, each kid gets their own table. We had to pull tables and desks out of rooms to make sure it all fit. All the teachers came in the last week and empty. We have rolling storage cabinets that all the teachers removed from their classrooms. They did a wonderful job of condensing all of their things to make it work for the kids. So we maximized the floor space in the last pretty much week and a half.
Okay. And there's clearly a lot of questions and interest in the child development class, and wondering if the preschoolers will still come in. I don't know if you want to talk about.
Yeah. We have had talks with the family consumer science teacher, and we're not, as of this moment, they're not coming in for the fall semester until we get a better handle on what's going on. It's a shame. They usually start in October, which is a long way away. So if something turns around and we can get them in, we will. We're also talking with the family consumer science teacher. Our students would go to the elementary schools, and we have to keep everybody safe. So we're trying to figure out ways that they can Zoom with the elementary classrooms, or be a playground aid from a distance or something like that. We're still talking about all these different ideas. We haven't finalized it yet, but we believe there's definitely an electronic platform where our students can get into elementary or middle school classrooms in our child development course, which is a great course. And it's led to a lot of people going on to become teachers. So we are working with our family consumer science teachers. And now that you're on the topic, all of our teachers have been doing webinars this summer through different organizations. And our family consumer science teachers are doing a webinar with the DCIU. I believe it's next week to discuss with all of their colleagues around the county on how to do classes such as that. And I myself and all the assistant principals have been doing chats and webinars and Google Hangouts with different principals from around the county too, which has been very helpful in answering some of these questions.
Perfect. One other kind of class specific, maybe a little logistics about how our PE classes will run, so parents and guardians can have a visualization of how that's going to look in the hybrid schedule.
Yep. That's a great question. We have 2 gyms. I love our school and our facilities. We don't have 5 gyms, and that's not who we are. Our sports are great and we love them, but we're not going to build 5 gyms and take away from the great educational aspects of our district. And hopefully that didn't offend anyone, but I mean, I love sports and I love all the activities. But so we have 2 gyms. We have a large field out back. We also have the middle school uses the field. So we're very mindful of all that. Gym will look different. The great thing is it's half the class size. So right off the bat, we split it in half. And that's what's been the greatest thing about all the planning this summer. And the model, splitting it in half, you get half the class size right off the bat. So it'll be less it'll be less floor hockey, kickball, team games, and more lifetime fitness type things. And we've already started to talk to our PE teachers about that. And I know some of our students, it's funny, the upper level 18-year-olds are in gym class playing a basketball game or some game like it's the Super Bowl. And that's the question they ask, what will gym look like? They're not worried about their math class, but they're not sure if they're going to take gym. I would say if you have gym on your schedule, stick with gym. The sweating will be minimal, but it'll still be, you're going to be doing lifetime fitness things. You're going to be doing like CrossFit type things, yoga-ish type things, shuttle runs and things that don't require a lot of or any balls being thrown back and forth. And we've seen that with athletics. One thing I've really learned in the last couple of weeks, all the things you can do without using a ball, and it's been great. And I think the students have learned a lot too about physical fitness and lifetime fitness,
Thank you. Those are some great examples. I think we have 2 themes kind of to round out the safety questions. One would be supervision. So I know you talked a little bit about the grab and go and that students you anticipate there'll be a protocol of who's going to be there, what the purpose of them being there, and that there will be staff to supervise. What about throughout the day while students are walking through the building? Will there be supervision in the hallways and in the common areas?
Yes. We do have hall monitors. It's again, they're 16, 17, 18, but we do have hall monitors. We have bathroom monitors. We had to We have to monitor how many people are in a bathroom now, things such as that. We're going to, the teachers too are going to hustle the students to class, and it's not going to be a fast pace, but you do have to prompt the students and say, all right, let's keep moving, guys, so it's not going to be like someone's chasing you down the hall with a clipboard, but we do need to keep them moving, and we do need to know who's in the bathroom. Things such as that. We can't have 10 people, 6 people in a bathroom. And kids love to congregate in the bathroom because that's their only private space in the school. So we have to find other ways for them to interact and not have them stop in between classes. So we do, and in the mornings and at lunch too. So we have aides, we have security guards, obviously the administrative team, and the teachers too will have to be in the halls all the time. And we're usually pretty visible, and then one thing we're doing also is we're pushing our IEP meetings and different meetings till the afternoon, where there's less or minimal students in the school, because we can't be tied up in a meeting. Sometimes I have to meet with the yearbook rep or someone like that. We're going to have to push all those meetings to the afternoon to make sure we're with the students. And those not extraneous, that's a bad word, but those non-essential meetings are occurring when the least amount of students are in the building.
Okay, and then the last question under the safety kind of theme is disinfection. So what can parents and guardians expect will happen between classes and cohorts in the classroom between the blocks?
Yeah, so there's 2 different things there. One is we're gonna, wipe down the desks during the change of class, but we're not spraying or anything because we can't spray chemicals in the middle of class. And then part of it is training the students to keep to their personal space, so we know where the kids are, and they're not touching a lot of things or touching a lot of doors. And so it's like little training that sounds super simple, but it's part of the orientation process for all the kids, all the students, that we know we have to do the week of the 31st when they come back. And there's a lot that goes into that. It sounds very easy, but we're gonna have to make reminders. I'm gonna have to be on the loudspeaker making reminders. There's a lot of signage all over the school. There's signage outside, there's sanitizer everywhere, but we have to train the students to continue some of their practices from what they've been doing the last few months at home. We need to continue those good practices when they come back, because we're going to keep it as safe as we can, but their mind's going to drift back that they're back in school and everything's fine. But we have to just make sure we're not scaring them. But again, we're teaching them proper etiquette, if you will. And what we saw with the athletics teams, it's been unbelievable. At times, it's been, when we've been out there, they've been 6 feet apart. And I've said to the students, you guys can talk to each other. It's been so regimented that they forget like they can talk to each other because they're all in rows and they're all, they have to be 6 feet apart and they can't touch each other. So we're trying to strike a balance, but we have to stay safe, especially when they come back. We got to train them right away to make sure they're all doing it the best they can. And then the normal, custodians are cleaning every day. Fridays, we're going to have a deep cleaning, and I'll go over the Friday schedule in a minute, to keep the building safe. And right now it's almost finished, and it's immaculate right now. And we need to keep it that way. And then the common areas is another place. So when they're hanging out after school, if for some reason it's not outdoors, we have to make sure that it's in a place that's clean and it's in a place that they're not wandering away from. And then, we don't they go to an area that we don't know if it's been cleaned or not. So we want to make sure we know where they are. So we're trying not to take away, not to belabor a point, but we're trying not to take away the high school students' freedom, but we do have to put some parameters on their freedom.
Okay, perfect. And then one other thing that's come up a couple of times, is there someone that you would direct parents or guardians to speak to if they had concerns about what type of mask that students should be wearing, or if are there alternatives, if they have breathing issues, who should they speak to with additional questions about risk factor with masks, and if hybrid is the right choice for them versus online?
Yeah, I'll turn that over to Dr. Rush.
Thank you. Yes. The directive that we are following is the directive from the Secretary of Health. That's an order for us, and that's the one thing that is extremely clear. It is an order issued out of the governor's office, and that directive, I think it's on our website, but we can double check. That does go through defining the different types of masks and what should be worn in terms of a face covering is actually what I think they refer to it as instead of mask. And if you have specific questions that relate back to your child's health needs, then I would speak with your child's healthcare provider and get that advice for the best type of face covering to wear.
Okay, thank you. So a lot of the other specific questions are about the learning and what will it look like. So I think we can save those, that thread of questions until after you talk a little bit about Friday, and then maybe we can drill down a little bit about what's the difference between what students will be experiencing in the classroom versus at home throughout their day.
Sure.
Why don't we move on?
Mr. Donahue, before you start, I'm going to ask if you could actually, before you get into the Friday, I'm wondering if there's some greater clarity that can be provided. If you look at just that hybrid, and maybe for some of us, take it like if it's a Monday morning and it is my day to be in school, can you interpret that schedule that is on the screen? It's Monday, what is happening for me? And then take it, it's Monday, I'm a student who is at home. How should I be interpreting that schedule there?
Sure. So if it's Monday and I'm in school, I arrive anywhere between 7 and 7:30. And when I arrive, I am to head right to my first block class and head right to my assigned seat. They can hang out, they can talk to each other, but they need to go to their first block class and sit in their assigned seat. And then from there, they'll have a 65-minute class. After the class is over, they 3 minutes to get to their next class. And then they repeat that for blocks 2, 3, and 4. They will have all their classes as normal. So their art class, gym class, anything like that. If it's block 2, they go to gym. So let's just run through a freshman schedule real quick. Block 1, you go right to your social studies class. From there, block 2, you go to English. After English class, you have phys ed, block 3. And then block 4, you might have a math class, or you might have course or band. Usually course and band, and it will remain this year, is block 4. So you have orchestra, choir, band, ensembles, things like that, block 4. So then after that, so you're still in school, block 4 ends, we get on the loudspeaker, we announce who leaves first, who leaves second. The students leave. They may get a grab and go lunch on the way out. So students might get their lunch, eat out back. They might get their lunch, go right onto the bus, or they might get their lunch and go right home. Or they might just go right home. It's student preference and parent preference as to what you want to do. If a student has to stay or wants to stay, they have activities or athletics, they can stay. We'll tell them where the assigned location is. And then we tell the adults, who's coming today, those type of things. and then that's it. And then you go home, and then you either come back for athletics, or you don't come back until Wednesday. All right. But Tuesday, I'll talk about in a second. So if you're a student who's home on Monday, we encourage you to get up and do your work, because you're going to have your block 1 starting at 12:35. You're going to meet with your teacher and your classmates. The teacher's going to take roll. The teacher may have assigned an assignment that they want completed by 12:35, or they might have it completed by the next day you're in school. But either way, it's a great opportunity for half of your class to come together, go over what you did before, preview the next day, combination of both, see where you are, see whatever you're doing at home if you're progressing. Quick assessment by the teacher to see where you are. The teacher might also pull small groups, during that time. 20 minutes is a long time. It's a longer. We've learned that how precious time is. We feel we can get a lot done in 20 minutes for the students who are at home in the morning. And then after they're done their 4 blocks, if they're coming for an athletic or band or something that's at 2:45 or 3, they come back to school and do their activity. And then there is time at the end there, you see, if they need extra help or there's something they want to meet with the teacher about individually or in a small group, they can also do that at 2:10.
And just for clarity, Mr. Dunnigy, at 12 o'clock, the students can choose to get grab and go lunch or go home for their lunch. If a student is waiting for something in school, they're still using their Chromebook. They're going online. Learning still continues in the afternoon. So whatever work their teacher sort of queued up for them, which is also part of the reason why we're moving with the Monday, Wednesday, the Thursday, because it shortens the amount of time in between when a teacher and student have contact, in-person contact with one another. So that their teachers have given them the work that they're beginning Monday afternoon, continuing Tuesday morning, so that those students are then ready for their meeting with their teachers Tuesday afternoon.
Absolutely. Yeah, and our teachers, in speaking to some of them, not all of them, in the last couple of weeks, they're kind of excited because they feel that the 65 minutes they can get a lot done in the class, and then there is time after, and they're not going to hammer the students with homework or anything like that, but there's plenty of time between face-to-face meetings where the students can get a lot done, even more maybe than a normal school year in some instances. So we're kind of very excited about how the schedule is looking right now. And then
That's
we can
great.
talk. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I didn't want to cut you off. I think that's great. While you were speaking, some people were asking if you could speak specifically to how that would impact band and that meeting and coursework. Could you talk a little bit about how that fits into this hybrid model?
Yeah, and why don't we scroll down to the Friday schedule too? So band, it's still broken in half. All right, so the days that they're here, they'll have, band sectional or choral sectional. So it's still broken in half right now, but that's some of the things we're discussing with the teachers. So we're not bringing the kids in at 12 and having, if that's not your assigned day to be in school, we're not bringing you in a large giant group as of now at the beginning. We might go to that, if we're safe. We might go to that, but we're not going to do that in September. We're just going to get them, used to being in school. So you don't have to worry about bringing them back and forth for sectionals or anything like that. They will have sectionals certain days that they're here. And sectionals, as of right now, is not the first week of school. So you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about that. And then on Fridays, see, here's where there's some opportunities for some expansions of things that we know there's going to be a lot of great things that come out of the schedule or in this new world. Okay. So on Fridays, you're learning at home. Everyone's at home. However, I know the kids aren't going to love this, but block 1 is 7:30 Friday. You have to get up. You don't have to get a shower or anything, but you have to log on. We are going to take attendance. You have to be ready to learn. So you're going to have your 4 blocks on Friday too with your teacher. And, this type of learning might not be the traditional type of learning that we went through as kids, but it's going to be a great opportunity where they can learn online. And then again, it's going to translate to beyond high school, because this is how our world is right now. And we know many colleges who do this model where you have online courses, and then once a week you meet with the professor, so, and this is an opportunity to get the whole class together. So the class is split during the week. And the way we see this is on Fridays, they'll bring the whole class together. And it might not be the whole hour, but they'll bring the whole class together, and then they have to split in the breakout rooms or whatever. They can do that. But it reconnects the students, and it reconnects them to more students, because they're going to have small class sizes, which is great. But I like it when they can bounce ideas off as many people as they can and share what they're learning. They might have projects that they're sharing. They might have, the big ideas that they're working on that week in school. They're going to have an opportunity now to come together as a group and do it. And in fairness to the students at home, we're running it from 7:30 to 11:40. So you have a block, an hour. Okay. And now we give you 5 minutes in between class. So you get an extra couple minutes, hopefully, so you can take a little break, get a snack, and come back. And you get all 4 blocks with your teacher and with all your classmates now. And then in the afternoon, you have an opportunity for support, enrichment. This might be a place where band and chorus does something. This might be a place where a certain class gets together who's doing an extension of a project. This is opportunities to collaborate in the virtual world. Okay. And we know our kids need to know how to collaborate now in the virtual world. So Fridays we're excited about because it's different, but we heard everyone last year, there wasn't enough face-to-face time with the teachers. The students wanted to be with their teachers. The parents were bored with their kids at home. I have 2 high schoolers of my own that go to the high school. I know what we're all going through. So Fridays, we needed to make it structured. So we are asking the parents, get them an alarm clock, set their cell phones, whatever. They got to get up. They got to get to class. They are getting graded. It's a normal class, but in a cyber world. So it's no longer in rows, but we really think it's going to be a great extension, and it's going to keep them on track. So now you have 5 interactions with your teacher. Last year at the end of the year, it was optional. It wasn't the optimum, learning for us. But again, in fairness to us, we didn't know there was going to be a pandemic.
That's great, Mr. Dunnigy. I think just to kind of recap what I heard you say, as some people have jumped on and asking for clarification. So basically what I've heard you say is that there will be expectations on attendance, participation, and a mix of both synchronous and asynchronous opportunities with individual teachers in all of their block schedules 5 days a week. And that we hire phenomenal professional staff who, as this board, when this plan gets approved by the school board, their planning will take over and start to drill down into what types of assignments that will be, what will that individually look like per class, and that information will be communicated out later into August, so parents have some time to wrap their minds around Canvas, signing in, exposure to those platforms, etc. So that's kind of just you're laying out the overall structure of what everyone can expect throughout the 5-day week.
Yes, and our goal is to get, instead of maybe a back to school night, which we probably won't be able to do, is to have our teachers do a video and send it to the parents around the second week of school, you know, to kind of lay out what the new normal will look like and kind of what they'll be doing on the different days that as a parent, I never experienced. So I'd like to know, you know, what's going on in the new normal. So we're going to lay that out for you. The teachers are going to do videos. So our back to school night will be virtual, it looks like this year, but we'll get you the information early in the year. Our goal again too is to get the students back and get them comfortable, okay? And we will, like Mr. Baradoni said, we will have the results. You know, we need to have the results, but we don't want to hammer the kids in the first 2 weeks and have them come back after being off 6 months and wish they were home again, you know? So we're trying to strike the balance early in the year. The rigor will be there. The homework will be there. They are still more at home. So you're not going to see them working every minute, but you're going to see them working, definitely.
Okay, great. So I think I'm going to let you take a drink of water, Mr. Dunnigy, and toss the ball over to Dr. Rushi, because Dr. Rushi, I know in the last couple of board meetings, you've been very explicit about sharing protocols and having medical professionals in with recommendations. There's been a theme about communication, what are protocols for testing staff, and or communication if there is someone who contracts COVID. Do you want to talk a little bit about that for our community?
Sure, I will. So first and foremost, the Chester County Department of Health is the health authority for Delaware County. Since Delaware County does not have a health department, they have established, Delaware County Council has an established relationship with the Chester County Health Department. So as an authority, we take, you know, their guidance, you know, in consultation with them in determining what's best to do. The question about testing teachers, we will not be conducting any COVID testing at any one of our facilities across the district. If we receive notification, you know, a teacher calls the building principal or a parent contacts the building principal with an indication that, you know, either the teacher or that student has tested positive for COVID, our immediate call, as directed, our immediate call is to the Chester County Department of Health. They have formed teams, and they're forming the teams just for school districts, and each school district will have its own liaison who will get to know our building principals and can communicate, because we know that those calls don't always necessarily come, you know, between the hours of 7:30 and 2:30 in the afternoon. There's not a real clear path in terms of if this, then that I can articulate right now. I can give you one scenario. There will be a series of questions that we are asked. So if Mr. Dunnigy contacts me and we reach out to the Chester County Department of Health, we are going to be asked, was the teacher wearing a mask? How long was the teacher in a classroom with a particular group of students? How many students was that teacher with during the day? And what was the duration of time period that teacher was with those students? Who were the other adults? So we will need to go through, and then the Chester County Department of Health will reach out to that individual and then get back to us, and we will know. It could be a number of things. We could be told you have to do a deep cleaning in that room. No one should go into that room for at least a 24-hour period of time. We may be told that the teacher who was in that room, any students who were in that room, need to quarantine for X number of days. Or we may be told, resume school as normal, the teacher will not be coming in. That's the individual who tested positive, but the students who were interacting with that individual may come in. We are not healthcare professionals. So, and the people who work in the Chester County Department of Health are. So they will be the people that when we give them the information we know, and they contact either the teacher or the family of a student, that they will be saying to us, this is what you need to do. They're also the organization that if we got to a point either within Delaware County, within Haverford Township, within one of our particular schools, they are monitoring the metrics for our area. They would be the entity who would say, you need to close the whole school. Like they would give us that guidance if it needed to occur. So that's why it's a tough question to ask, because there are so many variables that the Department of Health will want to know in terms of giving that information and direction to us. So I don't know if was there another part to that, Sarah?
No, I think that, go ahead.
The Chester County guidance is posted on our website. People may want to go and see that. It does, a symptom, one symptom from column 1 or 2 symptoms from column 2, and gives direction on how to respond to that. Also, at last Thursday's meeting, Jean Kasner, who is the director of that health department, spoke at the meeting, took questions from our board members. And I know that segment of our board meeting is on our website, that if people wanted to just see that piece without watching the entire meeting, you can do that.
That's great. Thank you. Mr. Donaghy, back up to you. A couple of questions about regular information that might come down from Pennsylvania. So what is the plan to respond if Governor Wolf says all schools have to go virtual? And how would the hybrid model be affected versus the online model?
I'm going to take that one, Pete, because it impacts the entire district. That's not just the high school. So if we were given notification, that the governor has made the decision that all schools are to go virtual, all of our students, our entire student body would be home. They would be following their, the schedule that has been laid out, for them. It does not mean that they're plugged into their computer for the entire day. There would be a combination of, maybe the teacher bringing everyone together, setting the stage for that particular block, what they're going to work on. I might say, I'm going to work with this group of students for the next, 20 minutes while the rest of you go and do something else. I may ask the students to break up into groups, do some project work. So it's not just going to be students sitting at the screen listening to me and asking some questions. I'm going to assume that another question that comes up with that is usually, well, if I'm in the Haverford online model and everything is moved online, am I better off saying that my student will join their peers in that 100% virtual that everyone is doing? We just caution you, if you have selected Haverford Online because of health concerns that you have for your student or health concerns for someone in your home, it's very unlikely that we would be 100% online for the entire school year. So I would just caution you to think before saying, well, I'm going to take my student out of Haverford Online and now put them into this 100% virtual, because that will come to an end. And when it comes to an end, I don't think we're going to be going back 5 days, 5 full days with our entire student population. I think we will be returning to some variation of hybrid, maybe this variation that we have. So just think about your student and the transitions and the reason why you may have selected Haverford Online.
That's great. And a similar question, Mr. Donaghy, for consideration for PIAA and fall sports. If, when will the school district make that decision, or will that be, incumbent upon PIAA to make the decision? What information will the district use to guide their decisions about fall sports?
Yeah, that's a question we get a lot. The PIAA is the governing body of athletics in the state of Pennsylvania. And a lot of times they leave it up to the individual league what to do with sports. Sometimes they make the decision and they say sports are off. And obviously we have to follow that. But our Miss Patterson and all of us and a ton of the teachers all summer have been meeting. She meets weekly with the Central League athletic directors, and then they immediately tell all the principals what they spoke about, you know, concerns, this and that, and then we talk to all the other Central League principals. So the PIAA is our governing body, and then after that, we work as a league to make sure that everyone is safe. And we want to have athletics, we want to have activities, but we got to make sure everyone's safe. So if the PIAA could say no sports, the superintendents would have to get together and the principals if the PI, you know, if something happens that the PIAA doesn't say any sports, but we make the decision. If we go back in the yellow, right now our plan is there's no sports for Haverford students. And also that's in many, many other school districts' plans. So we have an athletic plan that we're presenting to the board next week. We already did our preseason athletic plan that we presented to the board last month. So we're going to do another plan next week to talk about the season. And it's a very detailed plan. It's 20-some pages. It talks about spectators. It talks about the students. It talks about indoor and outdoor sports. So there's a lot that goes into it that Miss Patterson and our new athletic director, Vanessa Robinson, they've been working together. We've been very fortunate to have Miss Patterson transition with Vanessa in the last month during this craziness. And they've been every day spending hours on every little detail of what we're doing in the sports world.
That's great.
And if I know the next question is if we have sports, yes, we'll live stream, not every game, not every minute, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure out how to get you there to the game so you can see your kids.
That's a great consideration. Thank you for that. Along those lines, kind of talking about the Haverford, not only high school, but district school spirit and emotionality for students and how excited education, the school setting usually is for students. A theme coming up is about the considerations of the emotional well-being of our students. I'm wondering if you can speak to a little bit about conversations or safeties that are going to be put in place to make sure that our students are emotionally supported and that fun and excitement is embedded in the school as well.
Yeah, and that's been a lot of our work this summer. There's such a push from a lot of stakeholders to get everything done. And is your rigor and are you going to get the same results that you've always gotten? Yes, we're going to, absolutely. But we're still going to do our team building at the beginning of the year in class. You have to get to know your classmates. You have to be able to trust each other before you can start sharing your ideas with people. So we know that we need to build in those times. And then what we're going to focus on too this year is if we lose out on an event, how do we kind of make up for that? Okay. So last year, the prom, we didn't have a solution on how to make up for no prom. And we're still thinking about that, but we figured out I thought a pretty good solution on how to run graduation. So any big event, we need to keep in mind that it's a loss, and how do we make it special or make it different or substitute another event for the events that we lose.
Great, thank you. And A question has been brought up a couple of times about, are we considering or have we thought about substitute potential shortages and how to make sure students are still socially distanced when there's a need to readjust the room or the place in which their class is going to be held if they're in the building?
Yeah, we definitely have large spaces if we need it. We also have, the best thing about block scheduling is you only have 4 blocks. So we have, our teachers will substitute a class if needed, and if they can. So we're very fortunate that our teachers work so well with each other in all the departments. So if a phys ed teacher's out, another one can substitute in, or English teacher's out, we can have another English teacher come in, and they collaborate all the time. And I always tell people our staff really gets along well with one another. And so we're not overly concerned. I mean, we're concerned. We're not overly concerned if a teacher's out or a teacher's out for 3 or 4 or 5 days. Anytime that's happened here, anytime someone's gone out on maternity unexpected or someone's parents died, our teachers always step up and they say, I'll cover the class. I don't want them to get behind. And last couple of years, it's worked out very, very well where we can step in. And then we do have, our subs are highly qualified people. They're good people and they know their subject matter. They don't want to leave Haverford and maybe go to another district. So they want to remain subbing here until maybe a position or something opens up.
Right, great. One other question, some of the elementary and middle school talked about use of outdoor spaces.
Yes.
Will community members expect to see our high school students outside as well, taking advantage of the space?
Absolutely. But our community members, I just ask you're not at our space between 8 and 12, or 8 and 3. And the community's been great following directions. So I appreciate that. Yeah, we have a couple ideas, and even our, like band and chorus, for example, their rooms are down at the end of the school, which leads right out to the backyards and the front yards. So we might use that space. We also have a lot of our science teachers go outside all the time and do things. So the teachers are talking about when it lends to it going out back, and we can fit many, many classes outside, even with the middle school gym classes and all that going on. So that we have a lot of space, and we're fortunate that we can do that. We are thinking of, we haven't done it yet, but we're renting or purchasing some large tents for some classroom space outdoors that's defined a little bit, just in case the public or somebody comes by, they know, like, okay, that's defined space, and or someone's using it, so I have to find another space. And then whenever the teachers leave the building, they always tell us. Even if the photography students are going out front to take pictures of the trees, they always tell us. So there's always a safety measure as part of when they go outside, just so if anybody's wondering about that. And then, Sarah, can I just say one thing? I know we're short on time, but if you read my weekly emails too, it's very important to see when the SATs are being offered and things like that for the seniors mainly, but the juniors too. Some of you might want to take the SAT. We're doing school day SAT. So in school, the Saturday SATs are all full. Most of them are full. So that's just offered for Haverford students. So I just wanted to get a plug in there, and that'll be in my weekly email, the sample draft schedule. And then as we go in August, I'll start putting more and more in. I know you're getting a lot of emails, but I try to just repeat stuff over and over again. So sooner or later, it sinks in, and I try not to overwhelm you with too much.
That's great. I would anticipate, can I just piggyback on your conversation about communication and say that you'll also be sending information out about Keystones, because the spring semester, so all of that information will be forthcoming directly from you. So people can be on the lookout for that. That's great. And we are closing up on our 6:30. We gave a specific time frame, and I wanted to make sure that I communicate to the team an overarching theme that is coming through the chat, and that is the incredible amount of planning that clearly has gone into thought and planning into this proposed schedule and model of learning to be responsive to the community, meet the students' needs. But obviously you're open. I hear you saying you're open to more communication or questions. Feel free to reach out to you guys directly. A question came up about when will the school board be voting on this? And just for clarification, the school board will be voting. Go ahead, Dr. Rushi. Do you want to talk about the difference between the health and safety plan?
That's actually that has actually been my closing piece. So I'll just jump in there with that now, and you can wrap up in another way. So Thursday evening, the school board will be voting on the health and safety plan. And if you have been watching our meetings and certainly what you heard here tonight, there's nothing new that you're going to hear on Thursday evening. We have had 4 board meetings throughout the month of July to talk about the planning process and to share the different iterations of the plan as we have moved forward. There's a lot more that's part of that plan. It's called a health and safety plan. So it even refers to, you know, how the buses are clean, when the classrooms are clean, how food is prepared. So it's not just on the opening of school, but we know that that's really the most important thing. Are we going to, you know, how will schools open, and why we have dedicated a lot of time to talk about it and keep people as informed as possible. So if the board approves this hybrid model for opening on Thursday evening, then a lot of the communication is going to switch, and it's going to start coming from your building principals. I will still, communicate, but not on a weekly basis as I have been, because they're now going to get into the logistics of all of the plans that are specific to the building level. A lot of what I've been communicating has been sort of generic across the district. And now they're going to take this information and put it into exactly how it's going to roll out in the building and start to, to share all of that with you. Another question that does come up, I don't know if it came in the chat tonight, was, how's the district hearing about other districts that are deciding right now that they're just not going to open and they're going to be 100% virtual till November, or, some until January. We have not been given, we look at the information, our regular meetings with the Chester County Department of Health. They look at the data specific to Haverford Township, specific to the other school districts. This is a meeting that all 15 superintendents in Delaware County attend every week. Jean Kasner from the Chester County Department of Health is part of that. Tim Boyce, the Director of Emergency Management Services for Delaware County, is there. I saw some questions about, school safety. He's helping us figure that out and work through that as well. That we have not been given any cautions that, you should consider this. I'm not aware of a district in Delaware County as of 6/29 on July 29th that is moving towards virtual. That could happen within a matter of hours or days. All school boards are discussing a lot of this, information this week. We have just a little under 5 weeks for school to open. And while that, for a lot of school administrators and parents, is such a short period of time, we have all, I think, learned that that's an extremely long period of time for this virus. And a lot can happen with this virus between now and 4 weeks from now. Even with the passing of the plan, we will continue to monitor that, and we'll continue to participate in the meetings, weekly meetings with the county health department, and getting that information and really weighing, what we should do. And it wouldn't necessarily be that there's necessarily a spike in cases. The long turnaround time to get testing results plays into that as well. But that's the information that is shared with us, and we will take that into consideration moving forward. But as of now, it's the hybrid model. We want to get the students into school so that teachers, as you heard from my colleagues at the high school, can start to build those relationships and work with the kids, make sure they have their technology, make sure that everybody knows what is expected of them, so that if we do go to 100% virtual, there's at least an initial connection, no matter how short a period of time it may be. There's at least that initial connection between the students and the teachers.
Great. Thank you. And before I turn it over to Mr. Dunnigy for his closing remarks, I just also want to say thank you to all the community members. We thanked the team for their incredible amount of work and thought behind their presentation. But thank you for your active participation in helping us ensure that we really are putting a plan together to meet the needs of our entire community. I tried to pull themes and large scope questions that were coming in because there was a lot of active participation on the chat. So thank you for the great, thoughtful questions. I would reference you to go back to our website where we will use these questions. We're going to save them. We will use them. We'll make sure that answers to questions that might not have been touched on tonight will be updated in our FAQ document that has been continually updated along the way. So please check the website. There were also questions about differences in comparing to Haverford Online. Tonight's high school focus was on the hybrid model, but there was another session that was specifically targeted for Haverford Online, and there's a video on the website that might answer some of your more specific questions. And if you have not filled out the parental and guardian preference form, please do that. We are utilizing that information to help plan for some of the other questions when it came to staffing and resources. So we have over 4,000 respondents, but we still need those last 2,500 respondents so that we really have an idea on where people are leaning. But again, that's not an absolute commitment. The Haverford Online application process is up on our website, active until August 7th. So that information was also, that question was also asked in the chat. So thank you again for your active participation, and we will let Mr. Dunnigy close us out with some final remarks for the evening.
That's a lot of pressure, Ms. Christensen.
You can handle it.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out, taking time out. And I want to thank the panel. Just so everybody knows at home, anybody on this panel can text someone in the middle of the night, in the morning, at any time when we're on vacation, just to help the students. And that's everyone's goal. The school board's doing the same thing every Thursday night. So we're very fortunate. We're very fortunate to live in Havertown, Haverford Township, and have such wonderful administrators who are working to make sure this works. All competitive people who want to make sure we do this correctly. So I want to thank them and thank you for coming out. And hopefully you can enjoy the rest of your night. But we do have pupil services at 7. So 7 to 8:30, and then it'll be a nice night. You can get out under the stars. So take care.
Have a great evening.